Palate to Palate with Robert St. John and Wyatt Waters is made possible by a generous contribution from Sanderson Farms. Additional funding is provided by this and other public television stations, and from viewers like you. Thank you.
I've had the interesting distinction of being Grand Marshal of many parades, Natchez, the Mardi Gras there in Clinton. I was the honored Citizen of the Year, and really the St. Paddy's Day parade has been that was the big one, 70,000 people, and There've been a lot of really good Grand Marshals, I was really glad to do this, but anyway, I got to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. So you and I have a strong connection with Jackson. You growing up in the suburbs surrounding Jackson all your life. Me having spent a lot of time there. Both of us fans and loyal worshipers of WZZQ radio.
Oh, yes.
We have a lot of different connections in Jackson.
Jackson's a lot of things. We're saying it is, of course, the capital city, but it's for me, it was like the big city. It was almost like Emerald City. I lived in the country. I grew up in Florence, and we would go to Jackson for groceries, and there were actually stores that had toys. It's more than just the capital. It's the pothole capital of the world, probably.
And we've talked a lot in the past about the rich restaurant history in Jackson and the influence of the Greek immigrants that came over. There's a rich downtown restaurant history that our buddy Malcolm White is still carrying on. Actually, we filmed a pilot for basically what became this TV show 20 years later, way back then. And we filmed it in downtown Jackson back in the Catfish days.
That's where I cut my teeth painting.
Yeah.
I started painting there.
Yeah. You did a great painting of a catfish on that episode, and we visited with our buddy Malcolm White, who looks the same today as he did 20 years ago.
Yeah.
You and I, not so much. Your favorite show that you've seen or that you've booked here at Hallamals would be what?
That's a tough one. Water's Edge, of course.
Yeah. Present the Water's Edge CD release.
Malcolm has been like the guy to hold Jackson together and give it its spirit. I think that's been his real mission, to make Jackson a place for community. Painting is a kind of a solitary thing. You do it by yourself, but you celebrate it with people. And we had a great celebration with Malcolm and Jill at a round table event at Hallamals.
So here we are almost 20 years later, filming the show finally that we got made, and we're in the same room. We're talking with Malcolm, but this time we had a bonus because Joe Connor Browne was there.
That was fun. That was a lot of fun.
So it's a familiar place for us. We spent a lot of time eating several million bowls of gumbo in this place.
Always look with claw.
He does. He likes the claw.
Where's Waldo?
It's like the baby and the cake.
Exactly. The next party's at your house.
Yeah. Well, January's an anniversary for Hallamals.
That's right. Let's see.
January 8th.
34 years, I believe.
There you
That's
go.
awesome. That is.
Elvis's birthday.
Yeah.
You got it. Thanks for
I
remembering.
remember.
Wow.
We used to do Elvismas.
Yeah.
Remember that?
It's really hard to think about Jill without thinking about her character of Jill, the sweet potato queen. She is the sweet potato queen.
I think she's the only full-time sweet potato.
That's true. That's true. I mean, she's actually a very attractive, svelte kind of gal, but when she takes
stately
on
lady.
Yes, but when she takes on her character, she becomes the sweet potato queen.
We've all, over the years, kind of just intersected in a lot of different ways. And
True.
I don't remember when you were in Hattiesburg, but you got your restaurant start in Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
That's right, washing dishes. And then I got offered a job in Jackson, which I was not interested in. In fact, Joey Mitchell, the late great Joey Mitchell, our friend, he just kept on raising the salary and the benefits. And I finally said, look, I'll go for 1 year, but I have no interest in living in Jackson. I'm bound back for New Orleans. and I came up here in 1979. And here I am.
Here you are.
And Hal was in the biz, but had gotten out to do oil and gas. But it sort of dried up.
You pulled him back in.
I called him. I said, "Look, I've got that building that we've always talked about to open the restaurant." And he was like, "All right, I'm packing now. I'll be there
On
soon."
my way.
And he was here within a week, and we started this.
Born knowing how to make soup.
And the rest is history.
So much personal history in that restaurant. I mean, there's of course the food, but the community that it represents and is pulled together. I met my bride at that very table that we sat.
That's true. That's true. And on the day of a St. Paddy's Day parade. Right. Grisham used to meet Willie Morris there, pick his brain about writing, and Willie spent a lot of late nights in there. And that Howlin' Mouse is really a piece of Mississippi, not only culinary history, but musical history and part of our culture.
Yeah, literary history. It's the mixing pot, the melting pot of Jackson.
True. I can remember because I was living up here, and I was living near Millsaps, and I remember one afternoon, and the reason I know is because I was really kind of griping about it. And I was like, what's this traffic, man? I couldn't get in. There were these
Couldn't
people
get in CSs.
in trucks.
Yeah.
They were just in trucks over there, and I thought,
Well, your response to the parade is the exact response that the majority
entire
of people
city.
had. And they
everybody
called
downtown that day.
They called the mayor's office. They called Jackson Police Department. They called the Clarion Ledger and JTV and LBT, and they complained. And it was those complaints, those thousands of complaints about the traffic snarl at rush hour in downtown Jackson that catapulted
That
us.
was the only advertising we had.
It made us.
The complaints.
And we began to plan year two right then and there, knowing that we had fallen into this fake news
One of my queens
gift.
almost broke a window on the 301 building, which was the IRS at the time, and, with a sweet potato.
that's a bad thing.
Yeah.
So superhero movies now are into this origins thing. That's the thing. So give us the origin
Planet Krypton.
of how you got involved with this parade, or how it started, or
Well, Malcolm's wife at the time, then Vivian, was my best friend. So we spent all kinds of time together, and I was just kind of at a rough patch. My father had died. I was divorced for the first time, and Daddy always said there are very few things in life that you really and truly cannot change. But when you encounter one, you got to figure out how to either make fun out of it or make fun of it. And so about this same time, a friend of mine, Sherry Anglin, was telling me that her father had some land in Vardaman, Mississippi, self-proclaimed sweet potato capital of the world. Yeah, and she said that they had a sweet potato festival every year, and I decided then, that maybe if I was the queen of something, it might perk me up, and so I said, have they got a queen for that? And she said she didn't know, and I said, well, pageants cost a fortune. They ain't got any money, and it's expensive. Just tell them I'll run up the road every year. I'll get my own dress, my own crown, and I'll just run up there and be the queen every year. And I don't know if she ever passed that along or not, but when Vivian told me Malcolm was putting on the St. Patrick's Day parade, I said, well, I'm in it. And she said, well, what are you going to be? As if I had no plan. I said, well, I'm the sweet potato queen. And she said, well, so am I. I said, fine. So we would let anybody for the first, I don't know how many years, that would show up.
What year is this? What year it is? Sorry.
83.
1983. Right.
Yeah, and all you had to do was show up, put on some kind of green ball gown from the Goodwill, wherever, and ride in the back of that pickup truck, smile, wave, and throw sweet potatoes. Those were the only requirements, and there were not as many takers as you might think for what I thought was a stellar opportunity. But I had green sequin outfits made, and Dink paid for them. Frank Drennan, Capital City Beverage, paid for those first outfits. And
Still complaining about it.
Yeah, I think they were $75.
All these years later.
The current ones were like $4,000. But I always wanted to be 5'2", have long red hair, green eyes, large breasts, little feet, and be able to sing, and got none of it. But having the breast envy thing, when we were making the outfits, we augmented. And then it was just like, boom, everybody got it. Once we had those outfits, everybody literally and their grandmother wanted to be a sweet potato queen. It was too late. They had their chance.
Started in 83. It's trucks, right?
Trucks, trailers, anything.
Roller
The
skates.
first float, we put the Blues Boys on Sambo's trailer, drug them through. But when we got back to George Street, the Blues Boys were playing. I looked up and I saw this crowd, and I went up to Bob Davidson, who runs the Blues Boys operation. I said, Bob, keep playing. We'll talk about money later. Don't stop. Just keep going. And it turned into a street celebration. And that was the missing piece. We knew
They
we were
just going to finish when the train
it was over. The parade ended, and that was it. So we were all milling around, and thus the street party, the celebration, was born. So between the gigantic publicity, the free publicity over the traffic jam, the complaints, the spontaneous keep playing, a parade was born. And we had the Queens, we had a couple of other marching groups. I did not even have the Otuck Society then. I just marched as Malcolm White. The Queens are older than the Otuck Society by several years.
And dirt.
But anyway, from there, the good ideas just started happening because we involved great creative people, and everybody in Jackson who thought this was fun started coming and creating and being a part of, and it just took off like gangbusters.
Well, I like the year that you got Tiny Tim to come.
Fabulous.
Tiny Tim to come to the parade, and he was going to be the Grand Marshal, but they wanted to put him on our float, and we're going. And so we did this thing. We built this seat for him on the tongue of the trailer, literally, not even on the tongue. For in our minds, it's all about us, and we tied him to it. We
strapped him in.
We strapped him to it.
Not only was he Grand Marshal, but at the end, he did a set with the Blues Boys, and the finale was Stairway to Heaven with Tiny Tim on his back playing the ukulele, and the people went crazy.
Yeah,
it was priceless. Yeah, we've had some cool Grand Marshals, but Tiny Tim, he takes the cake.
Yeah, it was a good year. Very first year when no one even knew what we were. It was like being in a New York. I mean, Cynthia Spigen said, she always felt like an astronaut in a ticker tape parade in New York City. In our minds, the people were always there. Mm-hmm. We waved exactly the same. We were exactly the same way when there were no people looking at us, but as now when there are 100,000 people. They were always there in our minds.
As the parade grew, they became like central characters.
Yeah.
The Queens did.
And your careers have really intersected because you wrote.
Well, everything I've got, he gave me.
You wrote for the Diddy Wah Diddy.
I wrote for the Diddy Wah Diddy. The Diddy Wah Diddy. I wrote Betty Fulton, and that brought me to the attention of Roy Blunt Jr. Then when he came to Jackson to do a fundraising event for Mississippi Public Broadcasting. Because of being in that book, I was invited to appear on that, and that was how I met Willie Morris, and more importantly, his wife Joanne, Richard Morris, who edited my first 5 books. Literally everything he's ever done has made my career. Threw out the idea of the Sweet Potato Queen's Book of Love, and she liked the idea of it, and I told her a little bit about it, what it might conceivably be, but about 9 months later, she called me and said that she had left the press and was acquiring for Random House. And she had told them about the Sweet Potato Queen's Book of Love, and they liked the idea. I didn't know how to write a book proposal, so Joanne helped me do that. We did that, and she bound it. We had pictures in it from the parades and Hal and Mal's, and it really looked like a real book. And she and Willie took it to New York and lost it. the night before the meeting, she called me just, and it's on a subway somewhere, and we're in a cab, and so Carol Daly and I went out literally in the tornado sirens were going off. She owned the Everyday Gourmet at the time. This was the era of fax machines. We went there, and in the middle of the night, faxed to Joanne's hotel room. Fortunately, because I believe in paper, I print out as I go. So we faxed those to Joanne, and she went to the meeting at Random House, not with the professionally bound book, but with the 50 curled up crappy pages of fax paper, which probably had red wine stains and cigarette butts on it. But they liked it and gave me a 2-book deal on that. Mm-hmm.
And that first book became a New York Times bestseller. Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Sold about 1 million copies.
Well, you're both passionate about what you do, and I've always believed success follows passion.
Well, the parade is a great thing. I mean, I think, I don't know this, but I should have asked Malcolm. I think it's really was just a chance, an opportunity to get people together to celebrate being Mississippians and Jacksonians.
Yeah. And it has grown into this thing that it's one of the largest St. Patrick's Day parades in the country. And it's certainly the largest parade in Mississippi. 70,000 people come out to this thing, and it impacts the community in millions and millions of dollars. Most importantly is Blair Batson and the money they've raised for the Children's Hospital.
Well, it's the state's Children's Hospital, and they treat any child who is a Mississippian, regardless of their ability to pay.
It's a really easy cause to get behind, that hospital. It really is.
You know, when you were Grand Marshal of St. Patrick's Day Parade, I was so happy for you. And
fun.
I thought it was an awesome, awesome thing. Not 1 ounce of jealousy, I promise you. But I would be lying if I didn't, in the back of my mind, somewhere in the deep, dark recesses back there, thought, you know, that would be kind of cool to do that one day. I never expected to do it, but, you know, I thought, if they ever asked me, that'd be that'd be a fun thing to do.
Green with envy.
Every time. So the theme this year is Magical Mystery Tour.
And you, sir, are the Grand Marshal.
I'm honored. I really, really am honored. I'm way more honored than I probably should be. I probably should act humble and modest or whatever. But I'm so fired up about this. Yeah. I mean, I really, really am.
We have one more bond between us. Finally, you get to wear the green.
It's like the Masters golf tournament. You get the green jacket. I got my green jacket. Yay!
He's going green.
I'm thinking, do I really want to be sitting in the back of a car? And so what I did, I just brought our float up and to do in the parade. And I thought, you know what? We'll get some friends on there. We'll get you and Christy.
That's gonna be fun.
And you know what? Let's just load up and have fun. So Wyatt and I have traveled all over the world. He was on his own the whole time, wandering all around Rome and Florence and Venice. We never lost Wyatt. But here we are back home, Jackson, Mississippi. My big day. I'm going to be Grand Marshal. Wyatt's going to ride on the float with us. It's parade time. No Wyatt.
It's easy to get lost when you know where you are.
We almost had a brushless painting, but you know, now we have all the brushes lined up here, so I'm ready to go now. Oh, I got my water, I'm fine.
I've painted this parade before. It's a lot of fun, and really the hard thing is you got all this stuff around it. It's so exciting. It can easily distract you.
Hello, camera. How are you out there in MTV land?
The parade is more than just that, ride around the downtown areas. There's the pre-parade. There's the post-parade. There's the pre-parade. So, and I know I've got friends that
It's a kids parade.
It's a
dog
kids parade. It's a crazy parade. It's a polite parade. But there are people I know best from having known them just at the parade.
Mr. White, Paddy, doing good.
With all this stuff going on, it really pumps me and gets me ready to paint, excites me. And so I started painting, and that's what I got for this one. I didn't know there was going to be I forget about time when I'm painting. But things worked out. Someone got me, and everything worked out fine.
Was that close?
Robert just came up. We had a great reunion here, and now we're going to jump on the float and do the St. Paddy's Day.
So we finally got Wyatt aboard, and the parade started. If you have never ridden on a parade float, you've got to do it. There's nothing like it. It is so much fun. And today, the fact that, it was Beatles, it was with my friends, it was with family, it was a blast.
Came for a day.
I flunked out of college and got in the restaurant business really just on a fluke, and instantly fell in love with it. And as a kid, as a 19-year-old kid, I just wanted to open a restaurant. That's really all I wanted. I just wanted to open one restaurant and to have my own business so I could wear t-shirts and jeans or t-shirts and shorts and do that. That was it. I lived in a garage apartment till I was 30 years old, one room thing. And I never really dreamed of anything big. But what life has delivered has been way beyond anything. Had I sat down at 19 years old and just written out, dream big even. This would be great, And chief among them are friendships that are so important to me.
Yeah, for me.
And you and I started this thing. We had an idea about doing a book. We became best friends. We're blessed.
And you've given blessings too. You've given back.
Well, it's been so far. Hopefully, there's a lot more to go. But so far, it's just you and I have both been blessed with so much. And I'm not talking about material, worldly things, but relational things and experiences.
You love to do, that you have passion for.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's passion, and
with people you want to be with.
Yeah, you're passionate about art and you're painting, and I'm passionate about food and eating. And we're also passionate about so many other things that have grown out of that. And we've been blessed to be able to make a living at what we're passionate about. And a lot of people aren't blessed with that. And so we kind of get paid to do our hobby.
Yeah. But what got me about everything was really the passion you had for this and your dedication to excellence and really your love of people, this is where you want it to be. This Mississippi, I'm in the briar patch. I like it here. This is where I want to be. I love the people here. I love the town. I love the state.
We're Mississippi. We love Mississippi that much, and I know you two are exactly the same way. Mm-hmm. And I know this state means a lot to y'all and has done a lot for you.
Oh, I mean, it's done everything for me. This is where I found my voice. This is the story that I've told my entire life. Willie used to say Mississippi is a strange and beguiling place, but it's also very intriguing. And James Meredith once said that Mississippi is the most powerful word in the English language. No one says it and doesn't get some sort of response. So that's quite a burden, and it's also quite a responsibility to tell the Mississippi story. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, I think Mississippi's greatest asset is our story. Arts, culture, music, community, history, food, visual arts, our story in literature. I mean, Mississippi has written the book. We're the birthplace of America's music. We may be first on every list we want to be last on, and we may be last on a lot of the lists we'd rather be first on, but by God, people are interested and curious about Mississippi.
Well, that's where stories come from too, is hard times. I mean, they're, winning the lottery story. There's no growth from winning the lottery. There's no spiritual growth from good times. I mean, spiritual growth comes from hard times. It does. There's a verse in Nehemiah 8:10. It says, "Go your way, eat the fat, drink the sweet, and send portions to those for whom nothing is prepared." And I've taken that to be the official Bible verse of the Sweet Potato Queens, that you can eat and drink all you want to as long as you take care of the poor folks.
Yeah,
so in the Bible.
Somewhere in the Bible it also says, those who much has been given, much is expected. And even though, so we've been blessed. We've all been blessed with gifts, talents, and opportunities.
The only joy out of making any money is giving it away.
I think if we had all been born and raised and grew up in Idaho,
we'd have made our way here.
In a hurry.
We'd have crawled out of the snow.
So I think the moral of that whole thing is be open to opportunities. And you never know what's going to come around the next corner. And if you're just open to that, I think that's our story.
That's faith, really.
We never planned on doing books. We never planned on leading tours. Never planned on TV show. All of that we were just kind of open to, and we've been blessed with. And so somewhere out there's a little kid who's asking for an easy bake oven at 6 years old like I did, or getting art lessons and splattering paint on the floor with his mom like you did, who has no idea those things that are in store. And if you are that little boy or girl, just be open to the opportunities that can come your way And when they do, develop a passion for them, because success follows passion. And that's one thing we've learned.
That's true. That is true.
And maybe one day you'll be blessed with doing what you're passionate about and having fun, and the money and all that other stuff's not even going to matter.
Many of the paintings seen on today's program are featured in the A Mississippi Palate cookbook. This beautiful volume also includes Mississippi heritage recipes. A Mississippi Palate cookbook. Palate to Palate with Robert St. John and Wyatt Waters is made possible by a generous contribution from Sanderson Farms. Additional funding is provided by this and other public television stations. And from viewers like you. Thank you.